Forced to self-checkout revenge. I hate self-checkout at grocery. There isn't enough place for a full grocery and the weight detector doesn't work half the time. So I go once and all the check are close. I have to use self-checkout and there is 2 employees supervising the customers. They take a long time to react each time the device bug. To check age when you scan alcohol, etc. So it took me about 15 minutes to get a cash. There was 10. Now here you have to pay your plastic bag and now you even pay for paper bag. At that time not all places charge for paper bag. I knew they did. At the end come the question, how many plastic bag did you take? Cue malicious complaisance. I knew it meant, all bag. But act like I didn't. I only took 3 paper bags. So I pressed 0. Then didn't ask for paper bag. This time the director, owner react quickly. You had to press 3. You took 3 bags. Sorry but it asked me how many plastic bag. I tough there was another question for paper and taught they were not the same price. He didn't believe me and she scan an article to test it then he see the question. Next time make sure the proper question is asked or even better don't force people to self-checkout. Saved 15 cents but it was worth to see its face. Never were people forced to self-checkout and now the question is about bags not plastic bags. I hate it when they chase you out into the parking lot to verify your receipt. This is why I always wear headphones while shopping. And when they catch up to me all accusingly I just ask. If you're chasing me, who's watching them? Quote. There was a time where I was doing my weekly grocery run on a Saturday with my 3 yo. I have a family of 5 so grocery runs are no joke. There were no checkers. Just self-checkout. There are 5 self-checkouts but 2 had signs saying they were broken. I asked the worker supervising if there was any way they could get a checker for me. They said no. I warned them I was not fast. Especially with as much produce as I had. They insisted I use the self-checkout just like everyone else. Okie dokie then. I start. As I said, I'm usually slow as it is. I half ignore my 3 yo demanding my attention. She starts getting louder and louder. Everyone is giving me the stink eye and the attendant keeps huffing at me. After a while I turn and tell her, you saw how full my cart was. I warned you I was slow. I asked for a cashier. You said no. I'm doing the best I can. Suddenly everyone else is giving her the evil eye. Either you trust me to scan everything myself and I walk away without engaging anymore. Or you don't and you can employ checkout operators. To me, there is no in between. That said, I don't use self-checkout unless I'm in a desperate rush. It isn't about being served. It's about jobs being cut when customers use self-checkout. I'm retired, so desperate rushes are very rare. I hate self-checkout as well unless I only have a few items. I was ready to check out. 3 cashiers working while there are 6 checkout lines that are unmanned. There are at least 5 people waiting in line at each of the manned cashiers while there are 2 managers watching the people in the self-checkouts. I went up to the managers and said, "Can you please open up another cashier line?" And he said, "I don't have anyone else trained to be a cashier." I responded, "I don't remember having to be trained to use the self-checkout." Quote. I don't mind self-checkout when they work. Woolworths in Australia have gotten worse where during scanning will seemingly and randomly pop up a message, "Supervisor required," and stop scanning. You then have to wait for the supervisor to come over, key in their code and you can continue. Often 2 or more times in one shop. And if they are busy can take ages. My strategy now is, if this happens, put my stuff back in the basket and jump on another register as soon as one is free and start again. Leaving the old register lights flashing and no one there. Best so far is 2 blocked registers and I get out without waiting for a supervisor. Do I save time? Probably not. Satisfying? Sure. There's a store near where I live where if you put a bag on the scale it says to remove unscanned item. There's no place to scan a bag. You have to wait for an employee to put their code in after each bag, so now I refuse to use those self-checkouts. One of the recent times I went there they only had one cashier-run checkout running and the line was very long, so I just abandoned my cart and went to another store. When they direct you to the self-checkout, simply respond, "No, sorry, I don't work here." I get it, but don't take out your frustration on the employee. She didn't make this decision. My local grocery store's self-checkout asks in a chipper tone, "How many bags do you wish to purchase?" Quote, "I always choose 0. Technically correct. I prefer dealing with a live checker myself. But my nearest Walmart now only has self-checkout. They work okay. But the nearest Kroger, Fred Meyer, self-checkout is very buggy. The scanner was reading the logo on my jacket. Self-checkout is based on a dehumanizing philosophy. Dehumanizes cashiers out of their jobs. Dehumanizes customers and they get no employee discount for doing someone else's job. I don't use self-checkout. Lots of companies are learning the hard way that self-checkout is not worth it through people switching tags. $2 item tag placed on a $20 item. Cha-ching. And people not ringing up everything chang. I love self-checkout. I switch price stickers. Usually bring my own pre-made. And save so much money. And nobody ever checks me when I leave. Self-checkout will never come to South Africa. Our folk will steal almost everything. What are the weight detectors for? Where I live, if I buy vegetables or fruits, I put my carrot, or whatever, on a self-service balance. Type in the number and get a price sticker. Then, at the self-checkout, I simply scan this. There are usually multiple balances in the vegetable, fruit area. If I need a plastic or paper bag from the checkout, I also simply scan them. So, no need for such a stupid question. Self-checkout is the only option. Nope, I'm leaving. The reason they charge for bags is to encourage you to be environmentally conscious and bring your own bags. No standing ovation for being stuck in the single-use bag mindset. Get with it. You know that minimum wage employee doesn't program or control the software, right? People who complain about self-checkout are the worst. I love the self-checkout at my store. It is for 10 items or less only, and there are only 8 to 10 checkout. One person to manage. And they are quick. The rest of the checkout lanes have cashiers. There are 2 lanes with cashiers for 15 items or less. This is how it should be done. My strategy on using self-checkout now is not to bag as I go, but to scan and place them on the bagged scale at the end that shows that something has been scanned. Once I have scanned all my items, then I start bagging. This takes about the same time to check out. But then I avoid having to get a supervisor to come and reset something because the system screwed up. I save useless supervisor time. My favorite grocery store was the last in the area to put in machines. The first time I had to use one, I needed a supervisor 5 times for 15 items. I told them they need to go to their competitors and find out why their competitors' machines work better than their own.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.